I'm Zilly Rosen. This is my shop. I love being the head elf, especially at Christmas time, but that's what I call myself a lot of the time because we're all here making stuff and laughing, and I like having created 8 positions where they get to shine and they get to make decisions and they get to use their brains and their hands and their hearts. I like working in collaboration. I'm not a person that functions very well or is very creative in solitude. When we moved to Buffalo, I left an art teaching job, but they were laying off art teachers here. And so I was a stay-at-home mom for 4 years. And I snuck off to a bakery and got a job. And my husband came home and he said, so, how's your day? I said, I got a job. He said, where? And I said, I took a job at a bakery. And it was awesome because he said, that's your art. That's what you love. That's when you're the most creative. That's when you're the happiest. And he saw it as a valid art form before I did. I didn't have any formal training in pastry, but a lot of professional training for me as an artist. I didn't know about fondant. I didn't know how to pipe flowers. So I took the Wilton classes and went a little outside the book on their, on their designs. And then I spent 1 week in Chicago with Colette Peters. That came right at the right time when I was trying to figure out how to make these cakes that were in my mind. And the rest of it I made up. When I was in my 20s, I traveled some. I was a triathlete for a little while. I did some bungee jumping, and I went out to Yosemite National Park, climbed up the back of Half Dome in a thunderstorm. And then at the end of my 20s, I was traveling in Guatemala with my sister, and I was shot through the throat by bandits. So the bullet went in here and out over here and took off the front third of my larynx. And it was one of the greatest adventures of all times. I was in a foreign country, didn't speak the language, couldn't speak at all. It was a 45-minute drive to the hospital. Was there in ICU for about 7 days and took about 2 years for full recovery. But in that whole experience, I think when everything's stripped away, you find out what kind of person you really are. And I was, in general, very positive and very optimistic. And that was, in a strange way, exciting and exhilarating to really feel like I got to see what my core was if you stripped everything away. The whole Smithsonian project was started with an idea, and I just pitched it and asked people in Washington if they would let me do it. And when the Smithsonian American Art Museum called back and said, yeah, let's do it, then I was in this position of having to do a 6,000 cupcake portrait on the floor of a major national museum. Had never done that before. I had to believe I could do it. I had to go through all the logistical steps to make it happen. I had to figure out they said, send us a proposal. Send us a proposal. I was like, what the heck does a proposal look like for something like that? I just made it up. But if you make things up and you bring enough energy to it, I think people see that and get excited by it. I'm a little unpredictable. And I think I'd be sort of the wild card. For me, it's not a cutthroat competition that I want to see the other guy fail. But if mine is the best, I love that. I love feeling like I really brought everything to the table. Above anything else, it would be fun to watch what went wrong and how we fixed it. It's when I shine the most is when something goes wrong. And something's definitely going to go wrong if you're pushing yourself to do something different and exciting. It's like, it's a rush, and you have to get that cake there, and it has to be delicious and standing and beautiful, and we do that every week. It's not a sport for the faint of heart. So to do it on TV with other professionals doing it alongside me, that sounds really, really exciting. In the short term, it would allow me to give my staff much deserved raises because I can't do this alone. The whole point of this is not doing this alone. But it would allow me to give them a little nice bonus and show them how much they matter to me and to this place.